Before we wrap this up,
Yeah.
I wanted you to critique my home defense rifle.
Okay.
Roast me, whatever.
Which has been thrice checked. All right, so everybody knows who's watching.
Make sure you point it at that camera so that they can freak out about that too.
3 adults who are, operational, mentally, and physically have all checked and cleared this firearm, so everybody knows it is clear. We're still going to follow the firearm safety rules. I just wanted everyone to know the gun is clear, okay? All right, so.
And that camera's on a tripod, so.
Yeah, and camera's on a tripod, okay, so it's okay. Just a cameraman behind is the only person we have to worry about. Okay, so let's talk about a gun, which I actually, what we were saying before the camera started, I actually like the way you got the gun set up because it's really simple, and I like simple guns when it comes to complex tasks. I like simple tools, right? And complex tasks like home defense, there's a lot of moving parts. More so sometimes than even something like, let's say, a military raid. If the 3 of us were going to stack up and kick in a door, there's a lot of complexity to that task. So there's a lot of complexity usually to the tools that we're going to have to be applying to that task.
Different men in that stack are going to have different tools to do different
And they're set
roles.
up differently, and we have different gear and all that, but it's like in a complex task like home defense where I've got lots of moving parts. I'm not sure what most of them are. I'm a little amped up. I'm trying to defend my children potentially, or someone that I love, or whatever it may be. There's a lot of complexity in that. I want an incredibly simple tool because working within those complex things, I don't have other people to back me up if I start making a mistake. So I want a really simple tool, which I like this. Basic stocks, which are fine. All right, basic stocks, which are fine. I like just a good simple stock. I don't love the CTR stocks because they are also lovingly referred to as the beard ripper, of course. And a guy with facial hair, you have facial hair. We've all lost whiskers to the old CTR stock. But a good simple stock is good. Simple grips, simple triggers. I like all that kind of stuff. I like enhanced charging handles. I don't like stock charging handles on any gun for any reason. Any AR, I want an enhanced charging handle. You have backup iron sights, which is nice, but to me, on a home defense gun, the rear sight isn't as important as the front sight, right? I like a fixed front sight base, or at least, like, my primary gun has a flip up front, but it just stays flipped up.
Yeah.
Just because of the way the gun was built, it didn't have a fixed front sight base, but I actually do prefer fixed front sight base on a fighting gun. So my front thing just stays up. Plus, they're super tough, right?
Yeah.
My front sight just stays flipped up. Allows me to co-witness at all times through my optic, so that gives me that secondary sighting system just in case something goes wrong with the red dot. I forgot to turn it on, I left the batteries on for too long, it dies, whatever, all right? I can still look through the hole, find the front sight, and get some rounds on target in close range environment, so I like that. It's nice to have the rear. I would say it's probably not going to be used more than it's going to be used, obviously, but it's important to have.
Yeah. Good
simple red dot, which is exactly what you want.
If I can jump in for a second.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that I think backup irons are fairly important, not so much for a home defense rifle, but for a fighting rifle in general, is look, we have great optics nowadays. Even pretty cheap ones like that Cyclops there.
It's going to run.
They're really tough. This video may come out or before or after, but I compared it to a TA-44, and in case that video comes out after this one, I won't give too many spoilers, but they were pretty comparable.
It's a good optic.
Yeah. So it's not because it could go down or battery die or whatever, but the one thing that'll take an optic out of a fight real easy is if there's mud, blood, that sort of crap on the lens. You can't see shit. You have to take it off.
Yep.
That's the main reason I think backup irons.
Well, and from a fighting rifle perspective, again, if we're going to go into a field rifle, I like to have backup irons at all times. Inside, I'm not as concerned about.
Yeah.
If I'm setting this up for home defense only, now we go back to the one gun concept of I'm going to use this one gun for hunting, competition, recreation, training, and home defense. Yes, definitely want to have a set of sights on.
Maybe not so much one gun, but that gun fills a lot of roles for me.
Yeah. So if you have a multi-role gun, maybe that's a better way to say it. So again, simple handguard, fine. Gives you enough capability here to attach something like a nice light mount. Got the Surefire Scout, which is a good light. It is attached to a tape switch, which is fine. It's an easy activation. It's not my way of doing things. I don't like tape switches unless they have a backup secondary way to activate the light in case the tape switch gets ripped out. What the Scout does not. There are some that do.
You can buy a different tail cap for it.
You can buy a different tail cap that actually has a secondary button, so if the tape switch gets ripped off, you can hit the button, which I like. You've got a reduced barrel, 12 inches with a suppressor on it. So, you know, like I mentioned before already, I'm a big fan of suppressors in home defense situations. I want to be able to hear and see afterwards.
Yeah.
It's very beneficial to me to be able to communicate potentially with somebody.
That's a good point.
With law enforcement, with first responders, with someone else who's in the home. I want to be able to easily communicate with them. And a suppressor is loud enough inside. Honestly, if you fire a suppressor off a 10, 11, 12-inch gun, it's actually pretty freaking loud.
A lot of
indoors,
people
it's loud.
misunderstand. 300 Blackout's gotten really popular lately,
Sure.
and people want to have a 300 Blackout shooting subsonics with a silencer because it's quiet.
Sure.
Well, no, the purpose for a can in the context of defense, not range use or hunting or whatever, is just, like you said, to be able to communicate with your family, first responders, to hear, drop the gun.
Yep.
You know, I mean, the last thing, I mean, how shitty would that be that the guy breaks into your house, you drill him, okay, everything's good, everybody's safe, and immediately after, you don't have time to recover. There was a cop right around the corner. He came in, saw you, yelled.
You're here.
Yeah.
You can't hear.
Yeah, can't hear a damn thing because your 10.5-inch barrel is just ringing.
He doesn't
his ears.
know you from Adam.
That happened,
Right.
what, like a month or two ago?
Dude, it happens like once a year here in
Yeah.
Phoenix. I swear, Phoenix PD, and this is not against them at all. I think Phoenix PD or some local, one of our PDs around here, seems to like smoke some innocent homeowner at least once a year. Not because the law enforcement is making the bad choice, but because the homeowner is like this with any variation of firearm they may have. And then they hear, drop the weapon, drop the weapon. They're like, no, I'm the good guy, right? And they turn towards law enforcement. They're like, nope, right? And they light them up. So it is definitely a problem, and so my ability to be able to hear and see afterwards is why I like suppressors indoors. Look, guns are loud enough outside. Stick them in a confined space. Even this office would be god-awful to fire 5, 6, 10 rounds out of this gun, even 3, whatever. It would just be awful. So to critique the gun overall, I mean, honestly, I really like the setup. There's nothing on here I would really change other than the light. I would like to have a secondary way to activate that light without the tape switch. And me personally, I probably wouldn't even run the tape switch. I'm not a fan of them for this. Now, start throwing, my lights and my lasers and my PECs and all that kind of stuff on there. Okay, now I want tape switches because that's easier and all that kind of stuff. Different context of gun. But for simple, easy, quick home defense, I like the tape switch. I have seen them fail. I have seen them get ripped off. It's just personally not my favorite. I like to have that secondary way. Other than that, you got a nice simple red dot. You got a backup fixed front sight base, which I like. Everything else on here is simple. You don't have anything too tricked out. You don't have anything too Gucci. This doesn't look out of place. If you were to sit this against 50 other ARs, several of them would look like this.
Yeah.
And that's the way you want your gun to look. You don't want it to look too out of the ordinary. So yeah, I mean, overall critiquing it, if you look down either one of our lists, minus the sling, which we kind of already talked about, especially with this gun, you have everything else on here. You've got a light, you've got a shortened barrel with a suppressor on it, you've got a good optic, you've got good ammunition that we cleared out earlier, that's good ammo that you selected, and you've got some training, some experience to back it up.